polished marble floors of the downtown bank gleamed under the fluorescent lights, reflecting every sneer, every whisper. A girl entered, just 13, black skin, tightly braided hair, wearing a simple worn school uniform. Her small frame barely reached the counter, but she held her head high. Laughter erupted. A few tellers giggled behind their counters. A man in a suit snickered openly. Is she really here to deposit coins? One whispered loudly enough for others to hear. The girl, Lila Thompson, didn't flinch. She walked slowly, deliberately, her eyes scanning the room, hands clutching a small envelope. And then he saw her, a sharp intake of breath. The air seemed to change. The billionaire, Robert Wellington, 70 years old, tall, immaculate white hair, wearing a perfectly tailored dark navy suit, glasses perched on his nose, and an aura that could silence a room. His gaze fell on the girl and lingered, not in mockery, but curiosity. Something about her presence demanded attention. Laughter faded. Whispers stopped. Lila reached the counter. She placed her envelope down calmly, her expression serene but firm. "I'd like to deposit this, please," she said. The teller stifled a laugh. "That's a lot of coins for a little girl." Lila's eyes didn't move. "It's all I have, but it belongs to me." And at that moment, Robert Wellington knew this was no ordinary child. Hello, everyone. Before we begin today's video, we want to thank you for your support, love, and kindness. We wouldn't have come this far without you. Subscribing is one of the best ways you can help us. It's quick, free, and allows us to continue to bring you great content. Your support means everything. Let's keep this channel growing collectively. Where are you watching from? Drop your city and country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's get back to the story. The room erupted again, but this time it was incredulity, not laughter. Lila had been saving every penny she could from her small chores, errands, and odd jobs at the local bakery. People laughed at her ambition, whispered that she never amounted to anything, mocked a little girl with coins. But she didn't care. She handed the envelope to the teller. "Please count it," she said politely. "I'd like to deposit everything in my account." The teller raised an eyebrow. "Are you sure?" "Yes," Lila replied simply, voice steady. And as the coins clinked, rattled, and were poured into the machine, the room watched, stunned. But Robert Wellington didn't move. He leaned back in his chair, adjusting his glasses, studying her quietly. Something about the precision, the courage, the pride in such a young girl. It pierced through the usual layers of wealth and arrogance he had grown accustomed to in his world. "You save all of this?" he asked, his voice calm but sharp. Lila looked up at him. "Every penny, sir. I worked hard for it." Some laughed nervously. A girl like that doing banking? But Robert Wellington didn't laugh. He stood. Every eye in the bank turned toward him. He walked slowly toward Lila, his presence commanding silence. "This is impressive," he said, bending slightly to meet her gaze. "Not many adults could save so carefully, let alone someone your age. What's your name?" "Lila Thompson, sir." "And this," he said, gesturing toward the coins, "is just the beginning. You clearly have a gift." The room gasped. The tellers froze. The people who had mocked her, they looked like they'd swallowed their own tongues. And Lila, 13, standing in her school uniform, felt a strange mix of pride and disbelief. She hadn't expected recognition. She only wanted her savings safe. But life was about to reward courage in ways she hadn't even dreamed of yet. Over the next few weeks, Robert Wellington watched her quietly. He learned of her humble home, her struggles, the bullying at school, and the ceaseless way she worked to support herself and her younger siblings. Lila was not naive. She had endured ridicule and rejection from those around her, yet she carried herself with dignity. Every move, every word, every penny saved spoke of determination. Then one afternoon, Robert invited her to the bank's VIP lounge, a private, marble-paneled room with views of the city skyline. "You've impressed me," he said quietly. "I'd like to help you, Lila. Not because I owe you, not because anyone asked me to, but because I see your potential." And Lila, small, nervous, but brave, realized in that moment the world could be cruel, dismissive, and mocking, but courage, integrity, and hard work, those qualities demanded attention. Some laughed at her when she walked into the bank that day, thinking she was just a poor little girl. But now, with the billionaire's eyes on her, those same people learned something essential. Never underestimate someone who dares to stand tall. And this was only the beginning of Lila Thompson's story. The next morning, Lila Thompson walked into the bank again. Her small backpack swung against her side. She was 13, but her steps carried the weight of someone who had already faced the world's cruelty and refused to bend. This time, it wasn't just curious eyes that followed her. Employees whispered, "That's the girl the billionaire noticed." And some clients turned, staring at the quiet, determined child with disbelief. Lila approached the counter, where her account manager, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes, greeted her warmly. "Good morning, Lila. Ready to review your savings today." Before Lila could answer, the polished floor echoed with boots. Robert Wellington entered. His presence alone made the room fall silent. The 70-year-old billionaire, tall and commanding even in his age, looked at Lila as though he were seeing her for the first time. And for the first time, the world around them seemed irrelevant. "You've been busy," he said quietly. Lila looked up, startled, but nodded. "Yes, sir. I worked hard." He smiled faintly, not patronizingly, but with respect. And that respect cut through the walls of ridicule and disbelief that had followed her all her life. Some people laughed before. This time, not a sound escaped. Lila handed her account manager a small stack of papers detailing her deposits. She had documented every coin, every transaction. "Your account balance," the manager began, almost hesitant. "It's impressive, Lila. Truly." Robert Wellington leaned closer, scanning the records. "Incredible," he said. "A 13-year-old with this much discipline. This isn't ordinary. This is extraordinary." Suddenly, whispers erupted among the clients and employees. "She saved how much? At her age? I thought she was poor." Lila didn't react. She was used to whispers, to being underestimated. But now, the power dynamic had shifted. People who laughed at her earlier could see, plainly, that she had something they could not touch: determination and resilience. Robert Wellington finally spoke directly to the room. Everyone here doubted her. Everyone here laughed. But Lila Thompson, this young lady, has proven something many adults fail to understand. Effort, consistency, and courage. Those are what matter. Not money, not status, not ridicule. The room went silent. Then came the clients who had mocked her. Their faces turned pale, some looking away, some whispering apologies. Lila's eyes swept over them once, nothing more. Her focus remained unwavering. Over the next few weeks, Robert Wellington became a mentor to Lila. Not a patron, not a charity case, but a guide, teaching her finance, investment, and life skills. He introduced her to experts, allowed her to observe important meetings, and encouraged her natural curiosity and intelligence. She met other young protégés, children of different social classes, yet all with determination. Lila's humility and focus impressed everyone. Even some of the bank staff, who had initially mocked her, began offering her support and respect. But there were obstacles. Not everyone welcomed her rise. Some wealthy clients whispered behind closed doors, saying a child shouldn't know so much. Others tried to tempt her with gifts, hoping she would make mistakes. Yet Lila handled every challenge with grace. She had already faced a lifetime of scorn and ridicule. Compared to that, these minor challenges were nothing. Robert noticed this and said, "You have something far more valuable than money or influence, Lila. You have integrity and courage. That is why you will succeed where others fail." Then came the moment that silenced the entire city. Robert Wellington invited Lila to speak at a financial summit, a gathering of billionaires, CEOs, and global leaders. She would present a brief speech about savings, discipline, and youth potential. The night before, some staff whispered nervously, "A 13-year-old? Speaking to the elite?" The next morning, the hall was packed. Lila walked onto the stage, her heart pounding but her head held high. She spoke clearly, calmly, about her journey, how she had been laughed at, how her small savings were once mocked, how discipline, patience, and integrity had built her foundation. And then she revealed her bank account balance, now invested, doubled, and tracked meticulously. The room gasped, eyes widened, phones snapped photos. Even seasoned investors were stunned. Whispers turned into murmurs. Murmurs turned into applause. And those who had doubted her, they sat frozen, humiliated. Not because she wanted revenge, but because the truth revealed itself in a way they couldn't ignore. Robert Wellington stood beside her, pride clear in his expression. "Lila Thompson," he said to the audience, "reminds us all that courage, discipline, and humility can move mountains, and that true wealth is measured by character." Back at the bank, Lila's life had transformed. She was still 13, still a girl who loved simple things, but now she was recognized, respected, and encouraged to pursue her dreams without ridicule. Her family, once struggling, had stability. The staff who mocked her learned a valuable lesson. Never underestimate the quiet ones. And Lila herself learned that laughter from others could sting, but perseverance and integrity could silence even the harshest critics. Robert Wellington looked at her one evening as she counted her new savings. "You did this all yourself," he said quietly. "Yes, sir," Lila replied, smiling, "but I had someone believe in me when no one else did." And he nodded, knowing she would go far. Not because he gave her money, but because she already had the qualities no amount of wealth could buy: courage, patience, and integrity. In the months that followed, Lila Thompson became a symbol of hope. A child who had been mocked, laughed at, and dismissed became a story parents told their children, bankers whispered about, and media shared across the city. And somewhere quietly, the world learned a crucial lesson: never judge anyone by their size, age, or background. Strength, courage, and determination often hide in the most unexpected places. And when they reveal themselves, the world can't help but take notice.